Oil typically back in the day was moving between $3 to $4 a day. Now we're moving $10 to $15 a day, which is insane. I know one of our friends, close friends that we know together, he probably lost like 200K shorting oil on that entire spike up. I think ships on average, oil tankers, they move at least like 12 miles an hour. So in order to go from all the way from almost mid-Asia down to Africa, all the way back up into America, takes them like 3 to 4 months. Trump is playing out of the deal right now. Now that he has control of Venezuela, he might get control of Iran. Who is hurting the most? His enemy.
China.
Yeah. They're either going to take Trump's side or they take Iran's side, and they're going to de-escalate. And it's going to happen very quickly. If they don't do that, every country is going to be super affected.
Okay, so over here, so Mehul, what do you think about all that's going on right now in the Middle East and how that's affecting the futures market? And because I know that's your world with the whole futures and oil and how you trade. So also, I'm a fundamentals and technicals based trader. So I think from what I understand, you're more technical based.
Yes. Yeah.
But so I'm interested to hear your take on what's going on in the world and how that affects your trading, if at all.
Yeah. So right now in the future space, it's super volatile. Like it's insanely volatile. VIX is currently like above 30. And for us, oil typically back in the day was moving between $3 to $4 a day. Now we're moving $10 to $15 a day, which is insane. And when you're trading one futures contract, for us to just take one contract long for $10, we're making $1,000 or 10 grand essentially on that. So if you don't need a lot of size, because if you do use a lot of size right now, I've seen so many people get liquidated. Even some of the guys that we know, I know one of our friends, close friends that we know together, he probably lost like 200K shorting oil on that entire spike up. So back in November, inside of my community, I mentioned to everyone that oil is sitting around 72. The likelihood of oil getting to 120, if things escalate the way I assumed they were going to escalate back in November or so, we're going to hit 120. And we weren't shy. We were like 118. So like the prediction was almost on point. And the reason for that is due to many different factors, and I think we can go higher. Do you know what's going on? Let me ask you this question. Do you know what's going on with, or how the US gets its oil from the whole Iran situation, or what that looks like as of right now?
No, so I don't keep, this is not my world. I don't keep track of this stuff at all. I'm focused in a niche of small caps and short selling really bad companies.
Yeah.
I do glance at the overall markets, but I focus all my energy on just finding bad companies. So from what I understand, like the Strait of Hormuz and all this back and forth that, the Trump and Iran are doing is something to do with it. But like, that's why I like having friends like you that are in that world and that I trust their opinions, and you guys can give me the lowdown, and then and it makes it my life easier to, make a decision.
Yeah. So I guess the lowdown on what's currently going on, the way oil works from like a fundamental standpoint, which might make more sense to you, is that shipments of oil get taken from, right now, Strait of Hormuz in this case, and they get shipped over down the Cape of Good Hope all the way up to America. Essentially, that's the main passageway that they go to get oil to America. That entire process takes between, like, I think ships on average, oil tankers, they move at least like 12 miles an hour, 12 to 15 miles an hour. So super, super slow. So in order to go from all the way from almost mid-Asia down to Africa, all the way back up into America, takes them like 3 to 4 months. So all the blockages that have happened, if you imagine it like Strait of Hormuz is like a passageway, like a door, they've closed the door, but a lot of ships have exited the door already. There's a lot more that haven't filled up and gotten out. The ones that are on their way over to the US are why we haven't seen the massive influx. Like you've probably seen it in LA, and I've seen it in Florida. Prices go to like $4, $5 per gallon in Florida. In LA, it's probably like $7 or something like that. But that's not even close where we can get to if this thing remains closed. because all these shipments are still on their way over. So there's a lot of supply floating in the ocean. A lot of supply is still floating in the ocean, and it's on their way over. Once that's finished and used up, and that choke point is still there, that's when everything can escalate. And price of oil can go from 120 to about like 150. Now, it's not a bad thing. I think 150 for oil, if it sustains that for more than 3 weeks, we can see potentially like a whole global recession, like an entire worldly recession, if we sustain 150 for at least 2 weeks. If we don't sustain it for 2 weeks, we just see a spike and come back down, we won't see a global recession. We might see like maybe an Asia recession, because Asia is 80% dependent on the Iranian oil, not the US. The US is just like kind of playing big man at this point, trying to stiff arm people into deals, but Asia is the one that is dying the most, like India specifically, I think.
I see. So a few things there. Now, what about other areas in the world with oil, like, for example, Venezuela or the U.S. reserves? Does that have any effect? Or, did you any consideration into all this? What do you think?
Yeah, so I have a strategy. So we all know Trump, right? So Trump, his famous book or whatever his thing is, The Art of the Deal, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of why, or the occurrence of all the events that he's done? He started with what? The first one was Venezuela. He took all their oil and basically conquered all of that. Then he went into, I think it was Colombia, right? And then he kind of did something over there. And now he's going after Iran. The reason why I think he did it in this order is because if he didn't take over Venezuela, his main rival is who? Who do you think Trump's main rival is?
Iran?
China.
China, yeah.
China is his main rival.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's cutting off China's supply of oil.
In fact, the Chinese were in Venezuela about to get they're shaking hands with Maduro.
Yeah.
And then that same day, that night, they got him.
They got him, exactly. So my conspiracy or my theory is basically that Trump is playing out of the deal right now. He took over Venezuela because he knew China was going to go there after they did not get oil from Iran. Now that he has control of Venezuela, he might get control of Iran. Who is hurting the most? His enemy.
China.
Yeah. This is all a game. This is all a tactic for China, I think.
I got you. Now, what do you think of, do you think with Iran, like, because Iran is like, I'm pretty sure a lot of things that are going on right now weren't anticipated in that art of the deal. It's all like,
yeah.
How much, as an engineer, how much room for error do you think they planned, like a percentage wise, and how much of that do you think is happening right now?
The Trump administration?
Yeah, that margin for error.
So that one is hard to say, honestly, because sometimes I would think they're planning some strategy around this, because he would say he wants to blow up like nuclear power plants. He wants to blow up energy power plants. He wants to decimate the entire country of Iran. We all know that's probably not going to happen, because if he does that, every country, every person in the US is going to turn against him. That's just like saying Fugazi stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like playing devil's advocate, and what he's doing there. But from like a strategic and risk standpoint, I don't know if they've actually thought that out too well. All they're doing is blowing up tons of missiles along the way to get their chokehold, like still like stay on the sidelines. Because China has not yet fully interacted with all of this. They're just staying out. They're staying back. Mm-hmm. The moment they push forward is the moment that basically Trump's chessboard starts to play out, and he's waiting on them to move, and they haven't moved. So they still hold, I think, the card.
Gotcha. Okay, so now going back to the prices of oil in the market. So how do you think that's going to play out in the near term? Because I think the market's like about to hit all-time highs again. The market has done some really insane moves lately. So it's like it went down, then it went up. It's very volatile. So how do you think this is going to end up playing out, let's say like 6 months from now, as far as the market, like the prices and stuff?
6 months from now, depending on what happens, right? So it's very, very dependent on what happens in agreement between US and Iran. If there is no agreement, and if there's no like terms that they basically can get towards, we're going to see oil go from $100 to like 120 and then basically spike to 150. That will be the end of it. But before we even jump to like 120, a lot of these nations will step in at 120 mark and start like either taking one side or another. They're either going to take Trump's side or they take Iran's side, and they're going to de-escalate. And it's going to happen very quickly. If they don't do that, every country is going to be super affected. So in the long term, do I think we're going to hit a global recession? Probably not, because someone's going to step in. Either it's going to be India, it's going to be China, it's going to be some big player. And that was going to drive oil back down. So what we're seeing right now is just a massive spike for maybe 3-4 months, and then later on, it'll just come straight back down to normal.
Gotcha. And then finally, I want to get your thoughts. So first, have you seen this, like, I think it's AI, but this screenshot of Interactive Brokers saying someone got a delivery for 84 gallon barrels of oil or something?
I know the guy.
Wait, this is actually, it really happened?
Yeah.
Hey, can you break that down?
Yeah. So when you trade futures, you're trading a contract to basically buy a certain commodity at a certain price. And if it executes itself, then you actually owe, or you actually can physically buy that. So this guy, he was trading oil. He bought a futures contract back like a couple months ago. And if you look him up, you know Aziz?
Yes.
Yeah, it's him.
Oh, it's him.
It's him.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's his.
That's his screenshot that's going viral. Yeah. So basically, he bought a futures contract and it went to expiration because these contracts expire. When they expire, they mature, and you basically, like options, you have the right to purchase these shares of a stock. In this case, he has a right to purchase the oil barrels, and they ship it to his house, essentially, or wherever he's re-registered to. He had enough liquid assets in his account to afford the shipment. So what I saw in that screenshot was that they actually executed it for him, and they're sending out the shipment. But if you didn't have enough funds, like myself, in Oklahoma, If I didn't have funds, I don't have millions like to buy oil with. They're just gonna auto liquidate me, and then I make my spread on the futures contract.
Yeah,
he's got too much money, so they just sent him the oil. That's
So what's he gonna do with his oil? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do with this oil. I actually don't know. This is my first time experiencing it. I've seen it before once where it was on X and on Twitter where someone was like, oh, I received all this oil, and he sent a screenshot of like his warehouse full of barrels. And I was like, wow, okay, I think this is fake. But this was back before AI.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was fake. Now I trust it.
So what happens with the oil? Like he's gonna have to resell it?
Yeah, he's gonna have to resell it. Yeah. He's just gonna have to either give it back to the refinery or find some buyer for it.
Yeah,
which he can still make money off, right? Because he bought a futures contract at like probably $80. Oil's trading at $100. He can sell it to someone at $95. All that oil, like Shell, someone will buy it from him for $95. Get all those barrels from him, 2,000 barrels, and then he's made his spread. Yeah. It wasn't as on the futures contract, he was probably trading maybe 10, 20 contracts, and he probably would have made like 30, 40,000 on that contract, like that trade itself. But now that he's got physical oil and he's selling that physical oil, 2,000 barrels, and he's making like a $25 spread on each barrel, it's just going to add to like 10x that amount.
Yeah. So the lesson there is don't have that much money in your account, and then also watch to see when they're going to expire.
Yes.
And is that correct?
Yeah. If you have a lot of money, then you should watch. If you don't have money, then it's fine. You're good. Yeah, you just get liquidated, basically.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, Mehul, thanks for coming on and explaining that to us.
Awesome.
I'll see you guys later.